All right, Legal Eagle. Cool. I wrote down here, the only way to achieve the impossible is to believe it is possible. Kind of what we talked about with Mike Ferry this week. Who was at the Mike Ferry event this week? Show of hands. Oh gosh, most of you. Great job. What'd you think?
Fantastic.
Fantastic, incredible, good. Okay, good stuff. I was on the phone with him earlier for my coaching call, and he said, "So how did it go?" And I said, "Well, I've been following you for 44 years. I probably say this every time, but this time is just as true. I thought it was one of the best events I've been to. For some reason, I got more out of this event than I've gotten out of a lot of events in the past. I'm not quite sure why. Maybe because I was sitting in row 5 taking all those notes. You know, maybe I had turned my cell phone. You know what, I asked you guys to turn your cell phones off, and you know, those of you that say you're taking notes on your cell phone, maybe you are, maybe you're not. I wasn't playing with my cell phone for 95% of the event, and it's interesting. It was a different event for me. Interesting. Now, there isn't anything he said I haven't heard, before. Okay? But maybe it was the way he said it, maybe I was paying attention, I don't know. But I've heard from a lot of people that it was, that he did a spectacular job, as I thought he did. Any real ahas from you guys that you want to share? Robert?
When a deal falls apart, focus on what created it, not what caused it.
That was a great thought.
Yeah.
That was a great thought. Yeah, it's a great thought. Because we tend to get crazy when a deal falls apart, right? Say yes.
Yes.
Okay, so this is another way of working through that. Good job. Anyone else? Anyone else pick up anything?
Personal power.
Personal power, the strength of the presentation.
Probably said it before, and I heard it differently this time.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. So is anybody really excited about running through the finish line right now?
Yeah.
Yeah? This is the 4th year we as a company have focused on this. I mean, we don't work on business plans. That's a common thing in the years past, where we'll work on our business plans in October and November so that we're ready for next year. We don't do that as an organization. I would rather you didn't do it. I teach my coaches not to do it. Why?
Why?
Anyone want to know why? Yes. Okay. 3 of you. Okay, well, I'll share with them. It's my belief that the minute we start thinking about next year, this year ends. Maybe not consciously, maybe not exactly, maybe not totally, but it starts to, okay, guess I'm not going to hit my goals, guess I'm not going to finish all the numbers, guess I'm not going to do all the things that I needed to do. So I'll back off the pedal slightly. But if you start doing that, then you don't get to, quote unquote, run through the finish line. It's my belief that there are listings to be taken right now, sales to be made, closings to be had, all the way up to and including the very end. And if we don't stay focused on it, it may be the 1 or 2 deals that you didn't get the close, that you didn't get the money with. And we're going to talk a little bit about that right now. So write these numbers down. So write down 77. Write down 52. And write down 11. There's 77 calendar days, including today, to the end of the year. 77 calendar days. There are 52 work days left. And there are 11 weeks left to this year. Interesting, huh?
Wow.
It's a lot.
Write down the number 25.
That's nice.
here's what I'm going to ask you to do. I'm going to ask you, out of 77 calendar days, I'm going to ask you to work 52 of those. Now that includes 2 days off for Thanksgiving, and includes Christmas Day off. Because Christmas Day is it's a holiday, yeah. Christmas
Sunday.
Day is a Sunday. So a lot of times agents are taking the Monday off. You don't have to, by the way. Did you know that? I'm just sharing. You don't have to. By the way, did you know that the Friday after Thanksgiving, you don't have to take off either? Did you know that? I just wanted to share that with you.
It's Black Friday shopping.
So if you take off the 2 days for Thanksgiving, and you take off the 1 day for Christmas, which is the Monday, that means you'll work 52 work days between now and the end of the year. What else you get? Remember I said the 25? That's 25 days off. It's almost a month off between now and the rest of the year. What do you think of that? That's kind of interesting, huh? Okay? So, during this period of time, I wrote down some words that I think matter a lot. So write down the word attitude. During our run through the finish line, your attitude matters, yes or no?
Yes.
Absolutely. I wrote down the word persistence. So if attitude matters, so does persistence. So write down persistence. I wrote down here, stay the course. Stay the plan. Stay focused with the plan. There's going to be days where you're going to want to get pulled off track. There's going to be days where people are going to want to pull you off track or try to pull you off track. Stay the course. Stay the course. I wrote down here the next word, discipline. Write down the word discipline. Write down the word consistency. And write down one of my all-time favorite 2 words. Today matters. Today matters. What you do today will resonate for you through the balance of this last quarter. What you do today will be the beginning of what you can do in the last quarter and what you will do in the first quarter. And remember, what you start to do today, the decisions you make today, the work you do today, the phone calls you made already today, are the beginning of what it's going to look like in the first quarter of 2018. Okay, so let's work through some numbers. We have 11 weeks in the balance of this year. And in that, you're going to work 52 work days, and you're going to have 25 days off. I wrote down a few things for you to do to focus in on to set yourself apart for the last quarter. So here they are. Number 1, not necessarily in any particular order. Work a minimum of a great 8 hours per work day, not every day. I don't want you to work the 77 days. I only want you to put in a great 8, 52 days. Minimum, a great 8 on those 52. So many times we put in 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours. A great 8. And I'm going to even challenge you a little bit later in this talk to maybe put in a great 10 hours. We'll talk about that in a minute. The second thing I wrote down here is go see every expired in the markets you work 5 days a week. Every expired, not some of the expireds, not a few of the expireds, not an occasional expired, but every single expired in your market between now and the end of the year. I wrote down here, next point is go preview 5 houses every work day.
5?
5.
That's a lot.
Oh, you're killing me.
Every workday.
Work days, not every day. No, thank you for clarification. 5 previews per work day. We'll go through those numbers in a minute. I want you, the houses you've visited as an expired and the houses you previewed, I think you should door knock 10 houses around each one. And I'll go through the numbers for you in a minute what that looks like. You need to make sure your past client sphere of influence system is set up and working. And you need to learn how to handle the objections you hear most often. Whatever it is you hear the most often. Not the ones I know, not the ones I hear, but the ones you hear. I wrote down here, extraordinary people are ordinary people with the little extra added on the front. Ordinary, extraordinary, the little extra makes you extraordinary. Okay? Let me ask you guys a question. Did you wake up this morning, got out of bed, and say, I'm really looking forward to being average today?
No.
Did you do that? No. That's it. Today I'm going to be average. I don't think we did that, right? No, you woke up thinking, I'm going to be extraordinary. I'm going to be beyond. I'm going to be the superstar. I don't want to be average. No one wants to be average. Yet, if we don't do the activities on a daily basis over a certain period of time, then by definition, that's what average real estate agents do or don't do. They either don't preview property, which makes them average, or they do preview property, which makes them above average. Do you guys get this point?
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody besides it? No, we have 3 over here. Anybody over here? Okay, good. So let's go over the numbers. If you put in a grade 8 per work day for 52 work days, that means that you're going to put in 416 work hours between now and the end of the year. Now, if you wanted, for those of you that are above average, if you stretched it to 10 hours, that would be 520 hours. And if you did the activities that I lined out, I asked you to do, which was go see 5 houses per workday, preview 5 houses per workday, you did that times 52, write down 260 previews. That's 260 previews that you would do at the end of this quarter. But just a side question. Has anybody seen 262 houses so far this year? So you had 3 quarters.
No.
Anybody seen 260 houses? I thought not. So I'm looking for 260 in 1 quarter. But let me ask you something. In the script, doesn't it say something that goes like this? You know, as a professional real estate agent, I study prices and homes every single day.
Yeah.
And I suspect that when I come up with a price, that you'll list your home with me at that price because I know the marketplace, right? Hello?
Yes.
Is that the script?
Yes.
You say that all the time, right? Say yes?
Yes.
Okay. Well, you don't study houses every day, do you?
No.
You don't study prices every day. If you did, you would be able to talk with confidence about that. I may not ever in my career get anyone to do anything on a regular basis just because you're independent contractors, okay? But if I could get you to do something that will change your career, it will be to preview 4, 5, 6 houses every day for the balance of your career. It will change your career to the positive, that one item, because you will know more about what's going on in the marketplace than any one of your competitors. Why do you think they want to list with the quote-unquote door-knocking farming agent? Why do you think they want to do that? Because that person knows that little tract of homes. How did they learn that tract of homes? They went and saw all the houses over X period of time. Little small tract, 500 homes. That's all they know. And they do 2-3 deals a year because of that. What if you were to see 5 houses a day, 5 days a week for 12 months? You'd see like 1,000 houses. 1,000 houses. And if you did it for 5 years, you'd see 5,000 houses. You'd be the king of the hill in any marketplace. But I digress. I wish you guys would just stand here and watch you and your faces when I say things like this. It's like that man is on drugs. He wants me to do what? When? For how long? Are you nuts? It will change your lives.
Preview is in person, see the house?
Yeah, actually see it. Not, by the way, not online. Not online. Can I tell you why not online doesn't work? Can I share this?
Why?
Can I share this with you?
Yes.
Why?
Those of you that have ever listed a home and taken pictures of a piece of property before, have you ever left out a picture that didn't show the negative part of the house off? Have you ever done that?
Never.
You know, as an example, those big giant power lines that are in some areas that go right behind houses, I personally have never seen one in 30 or 40 pictures of a house that backs up to giant power lines. Somehow it's missing. And you have a client that says to you, I want to buy this house, I want to pay this price for it, and I'm pretty easy on everything except it better not have power lines in the backyard. So you do all this due diligence, but you don't go preview houses. You do all this due diligence. You check every single photo of 8 or 10 houses. You have an appointment with them on Saturday. They have to buy the house on Saturday. They have the money in their pocket. They're pre-qualified. Everything's ready to go. It was an awesome referral from a great friend of yours that you really appreciate the referral from, and you're going to do the best job for them, but you didn't preview property in person, and you start driving around, and 3 of the 6 houses that you're going to show them have these power lines in the back. What do they think of you?
No, that's
You're not doing your job.
What? I only asked for one thing.
Yeah.
Don't show me houses with power lines. But you looked in the MLS, and there are no power lines. I challenge you to go find them. Do you get my point here?
Yeah.
The same thing with a nice house next door or not a nice house next door. You know, you could have drug dealers next door with cars parked on the lawn. And you want to show this really nice house and they're a great referral client, and you drive up to the house and you're embarrassed because you didn't preview properly.
Is this a sore subject?
Yeah, I don't know. I've been trying to, you know what? I feel bad. Can I tell you why?
Why?
Because I think I'm a great salesperson. I really do. I think I'm a really good salesperson. And for some reason, I have a real problem selling you on doing this activity. For years! For years. It's kind of depressing. Anyway, we'll get through it. Okay, so let's move on to expired. So we do 205 houses a day, 5 days a week on the expireds to the end of the year. That means you'll have gone to see and door knock 260 expireds at the door. Now we know that 30% of the people are home. That's just the numbers that we get. More or less, 28 to 32% of the people are home almost in any market at any time. So that means that you will have seen 78 people at the door. You'll knock on the door of 260 expireds, and 78 will say, hi, how you doing? Get it? Now let me ask you a question. If you talk to 78 people at the door that were expired over the next 52 work days, do you think you might set an expired appointment or two?
Yes, for sure.
Hello?
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So then I write down, here's the question. If you previewed 260 homes and you went and talked to 78 expireds And when you preview 260 homes, is it possible that you could run into some buyers and sellers out on the streets when you're previewing homes? Is that possible?
Yes.
Okay, so if you did that over the next 3 months, how many deals do you think you might do? If you did just those two activities?
5?
2 deals, 5 deals, 8 deals, 3 deals, 1 a month, 6 deals? Okay, so 5 to 6 deals is possible. All right? So I wrote down here 6 deals, well, 5 deals at $12,000 a deal gross is $60,000. 60 grand. So let's assume I don't know what the hell I'm talking about and you only do 3. And you made 30 grand or $36,000. Is there anybody here that wouldn't want an additional $36,000 in their checking account on December 31st?
I'm good with that.
Everybody good with it?
Yes.
Okay, you could have more, but we could have 36,000 by doing those two activities. Now, remember, you're already out there previewing property. You spent the gas going there. You spent the time figuring it out. And you also saw the expireds in the same general area, because I don't want you seeing expireds in one area and previews in another area. They should cross over, kind of. You guys got that?
Yeah.
Okay, then what I want you to do is door knock 10 around each one. So you got 260 that you door knock around. 260 times 10, how much is that? 2,600. And you have the other 2,600 from the expireds. So now you door knocked 5,200 doors.
How many?
5,200. 520. 260 is 520. 520 times 10 is 5,200 doors. Okay? Anywhere Southern California. I'm not telling you where. I'm just telling you to do it. Now, we know 30% of the people are going to be home. 28 to 32%. We've been doing this a long time. We know those are the statistics. So 30% of the people are home. So now 30% of 5,200 is 1,560 people. So in 52 work days, you're going to talk to 1,560 people. We know when one house sells, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, that 3 others are probably going to sell. So I was curious, when do you folks plan on moving? That's a script. You could do that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Something like that. All right? Right?
Yes.
If you talk to 1,560 people in the next 52 workdays, would some of them want to buy or sell a house?
For sure.
Yes.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 5? How many? 5 or 6. So now I have 5 or 6 from one activity. I have 5 or 6 from another activity. I have $12,000 a deal. I have 12 transactions. I got $144,000, maybe. But Neil, does it work? I don't know. Let's try it and see. What the heck, right? Of course it works. But maybe you won't hit $120,000 or $140,000. Maybe, I don't know what I'm talking about, and you only will make $60,000 doing this work. Are you guys with me?
Yes.
Maybe. Questions on those activities so far? Questions on those activities?
Well, if you do your lead generating in the morning from 9 to 12, so you have 3 hours, what would the schedule look like to make that practical? Because it's a lot of driving. I feel like it kind
Are
of
you
wastes.
being analytical?
Yes, I feel like it can waste
Good
some
job.
time.
I
You just-
actually, so I want you to,
I don't want to waste my time
no,
driving.
no. That's a great question.
Sounds
So
good.
did everybody see this?
Yes. Yes.
Essentially, this is in my belief, your activities. If you didn't get a copy, we'll get you one before you leave, okay? But this is, we think, what you need to do between now and the end of the year on a regular basis. And what I've done is I've taken every one of these activities and put them into a Google Calendar, okay? Every one of them, every one,
There you go.
over the next 2 weeks. So it's in 2-week blocks. So you do this for 2 weeks and then you'll repeat it 2 weeks later. You guys with me? All right, so all your coaches, I've gone through it with them. I've shown them, this is not my first rodeo.
Perfect, yeah.
So we have laid all of this out for you and set it up so we can give you that information. That's a great question, all right? We don't want you spending time trying to figure it out. I've spent the time, I laid it out, I took all of this and put it into a Google Calendar, and we can send you the Google Calendar. Then what you do is you can put your family time in it, and it's going to adjust and modify because some of you have more family commitments than others. We get that. We understand it. And maybe instead of what we call a 5-5-10, which is go preview 5 houses a day, go see 5 expireds a day, and door knock 10 around it. That's what we call a 5-5-10. Everybody with me?
Yeah.
Yours might be a 4-4-8. You get it? Or a 3-3-7. But it can't be a 1-1-1. Okay? Javier, no. Not a 1-1-1. You guys with me on this?
Yeah.
Okay, because the more activities you do, the higher your chances are to make some money at what we're doing. And we do want to make some money, right?
Yes.
Because Christmas is coming, right?
Yes.
Okay, by the way, write down 12, 25, 2017. Whatever you care about, whatever you want to do, wherever you are in life, that date is coming. You can't stop it. So, if you want to do something for your family, you know, if you celebrate another holiday, that's fine. I celebrate Hanukkah, which pretty much for my kids goes on for months. Different problem. And I don't mean to do anything except there's a date. Families want something. They want a nice holiday season. They want things. They need things. You want to give things to your family. So we use that as a target. You guys get that?
Yes.
And it's coming. And your activities today, I believe this. That's why we do this running through the finish line. I'm convinced that with the neat part of this business, the really cool part of this business, more than any other business I've seen, is that the activities you do today or this afternoon, you could generate a lead either by door knocking or phone calls. You could generate a lead. You guys with me on this?
Yes.
And that lead, followed up on in a good way, could generate an appointment, right?
Yes.
Yes.
By Friday or Saturday of this week, you could have an appointment. And that appointment could turn into a nice $400,000, $500,000, $800,000 listing. It could happen, right? Everybody with me?
Yeah.
Could happen. And that listing, priced decently, could go into escrow and could close before the end of the year. That's what's great about this business, because that can happen and does happen all the time. We've done deals. This is why I started this whole running through the finish line. We've done deals in December that closed before the end of December that were all cash deals. And people got $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 checks, where on November 30th they had nothing in the horizon. Nothing in the horizon. They were feeling kind of down. And they just kept at it and picked up a lead, got the listing, held the thing open, got a buyer, cash buyer, deal closed, end of conversation, went from no money at the holiday time to $30,000 in the checking account. That fast. This is a great business for stuff like that. But remember, you have to have your attitude right. Because if you get depressed about it, you don't think it's going to happen. You know, I taught this to my grandson the other day. If you think you can and you think you can't, he's a 9-year-old. He had a little trouble with this. I said, Tom, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. He said, what? Kept talking to him about it. If you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. That means it's whatever you think will happen, can happen. And we spent 10, 15 minutes on this thought with him. But he got it. That's this business. If you think you can, or you think you can't, you're right. You're absolutely correct. I think you can. And since this is my company, what the heck? You know? I guess you can, right? So I wrote down here, I wrote down here, I can do anything when I put my mind to it. I can do anything when I put my mind to it. What you have to remember is no appointments, no sales. The key to this business is you can't make a sale. We can't take a listing. We can't work with a buyer to make a sale unless we have what? An appointment. We have to be on an appointment to do this. A listing appointment or a buying appointment. So if you have a whole week that goes by and you didn't do any appointments, you didn't go on any appointments, you didn't create any appointments, you didn't follow up on leads to get appointments, you're not going to get a sale. It's that simple. I will predict that. No appointments, no sales. So what's the opposite of that? Appointments equal sales.
Money. Money.
I wrote down here, have the ability to start over fresh every day. Every day, start at zero. Biggest issue we run into. We have a lot of agents in our company that have made a lot of money so far this year. We have a lot of agents that have earned in the first 3 quarters of 2017 what they earned last year, and last year was a good year for them. So they're on their last quarter, they've already earned what they earned last year, and they still have another quarter to go. So what happens to us is that complacency starts to get involved. Now, complacency can come to you at high levels, it can come to you in low levels. Now, I remember years ago, if I had an extra $10,000 in my checking account, which is really weird, the size of the company that we were, if I had an extra $10,000 in my checking account, I took a proverbial deep breath. I would go, because the bills were paid, and all things were taken care of, and there were some pendings, okay? Obviously, this is 25, 30 years ago. But we're like that sometimes, okay? You got just enough closings, and maybe it's only just one. But one closing, nice one, $30,000 closing, might cover you for 2 or 3 months. Some of us might. And then you take that proverbial deep breath, you go, oh man. It's like the weight of the world comes off your shoulders a little bit. Kiss of death. Don't do that to yourself, okay? Because when you do that, you slightly take your foot off the gas pedal. Just slightly. And that's what gets us into trouble. Because when you stop the momentum, we start to run into issues in this business. This is a momentum business. This is a consistency business. So I wrote down, we have to fight complacency. When you think you have some money in the bank, or you have some listings that haven't sold, or some pendings that haven't closed, it can create some type of a comfort zone. So we need to wake up every morning pretending you have no leads, no pendings, no listings. You have to do that for yourself. I had to do this. I had to take, when I would close deals, I would take money out of my closings and I would put it into U.S. savings bonds. Why? Because at the time, you couldn't cash a U.S. savings bond for 6 months. So the money was there, but I couldn't touch it for 6 months. Okay? I had to fool myself I didn't have any money. And that's how I did it. And I took a percentage of every check and put it into a savings bond. And I didn't come from a lot of money. I didn't, my parents were My dad was a school teacher, never made more than $7,000 a year, you know? So I never had, you know, I get a check for $20,000, $30,000. Woohoo! So I had to fool myself. Until today, I don't have to fool myself anymore, okay? Okay, I need to put the money away. I know what I need to do, right? We take care of it. But boy, in those early days, that complacency thing would really start to play havoc on our head. So I wrote down here some questions as we focus in on the end of the talk today and we focus on what we're going to do in the balance of the year. What is my level of commitment, and for how long am I willing to make it? What is my level of commitment, and for how long am I willing to make it? I believe that it's hard to commit at an intense level for a 12-month period. But we can do this for 52 days, couldn't we?
Yes.
Couldn't we?
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe I can't do it for 12 months. Okay, I get that. But for 52 days, in which we get a few days off in between, we get to do some things, it can be like, we can do this for 52 days. We can do that. So what's my level of commitment, and for how long am I willing to make it? The next question is, am I willing to change my mindset, my skills, and my habits today? Because remember I said, today matters. You can't do this, you can't decide to do this tomorrow or the next day. If you don't make a decision today, if you don't make a decision as we start to walk away from this meeting in a few minutes, if we don't get into action, which is one of the reasons that we start our advanced script class exactly when this meeting's over, boom, you go into that class, because we're going to take action right away. We're going to start working on our skills right away, all right? So, am I willing to change my mindset, my skills, and my habits today? So if you don't normally go to the class today. Go to the class. Doesn't have to be forever, but today, go to the class. I wrote down the third thought is, how much more disciplined must I become? How much more disciplined must I become? I wrote down here, how intense am I going to be with the coaching that I'm willing to receive? We have coaches. We're willing to coach you. We're willing to push you. In fact, if you'll notice on this run through the finish line commitment, now this commitment can be modified by you and your coach, but at the bottom there's a place for your signature. Make a commitment. Sign it. You don't have to do a 5-5-10 every day for the 52 days, but whatever you agree to do, do. That's all. Simple. Whatever you agree to do, do it. And am I willing to stay on course and not quit the program if it doesn't work by, well, let's say, tomorrow? Gosh, Neil, I did it. I did all the things you asked. I knocked on some doors. I previewed some properties. I did all that stuff. And let's see, now it's 5 o'clock, and I don't have a listing or I don't have a sale yet. What the heck's wrong with your program? Don't do that to yourself. Mike said we have to put ourselves in situations and with people that make us uncomfortable. Does this make you a little uncomfortable?
Yes.
A little bit uncomfortable, okay? A little bit. But we have to be a little bit uncomfortable if we want to get the results that we want to get by the end of the year. We want to get that extra 10, 15, 20, 30, 50, 80, $100,000. Depends on who you are and what levels you come to this. You change your attitude toward this. You stay the course with this. Put yourself in situations and with people that make you uncomfortable. If you're always in comfortable situations, you're not going to grow. If you're always in comfortable situations, you're not going to grow. So here's a question. If I stay at the present production for the next 3 months, 3 months from now, January 1st, are you going to be happy with yourself or sad with yourself?
Said.
Well, we have one. Good job. You're going to be happy with yourself or sad. You're going to be happy or mad.
Matt.
You're going to be mad at yourself. Whether it's going to be weight, whether it's going to be knowledge, whether it's going to be scripts and dialogues, whether it's going to be doors knocked, whether it's whatever it's going to be. So I wrote down here, today matters. What you do today will make all the difference in the world for how your tomorrow looks. You can do nothing today and have the same nothing tomorrow. Or you can make some changes today and have an abundance tomorrow. Your choice. Let's get out, let's be focused, let's be consistent, and let's watch what happens this week. Thank you very much.